Bienvenidos a todos los que nos acompañan de nuestra comunidad hispanohablante. Si usted necesita traducción al español, le invitamos que nos acompañe, y un miembro de personal está disponible para traducir a través de línea telefónica. Para unirse a la traducción ahora mismo, por favor marque al número 1-669-900-6833, con el número de identificación 889-5905-1042 y use la clave 094-080. Toda esta información la puede encontrar en nuestra página de internet del Distrito Escolar, visitando www.ssfusd.org y busque bajo la sección de School Board Meetings. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. We're reconvening this meeting of the South San Francisco Unified School District into open session. Can I get a roll call, please?
Trustee Richardson. Present. Trustee Shea.
Here.
Trustee Lamb.
Here.
Vice President Murray.
Here.
President Anthony.
Here. Item C, Pledge of Allegiance, will be led by Tilly Smith, 11th grade student at Baden High School. And Principal Prasad, will you tell us a little bit more about her?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, President Anthony, and our good evening board, Dr. Moore and cabinet. It's my pleasure to introduce Tilly Smith, who is an 11th grader and top credit earner. Tilly is incredibly open to feedback and always looking for ways to grow. She asks great questions, is naturally curious, and genuinely wants to do her best. Anytime we ask her for some help, whether it's giving a board update or supporting another student, she does it without hesitation.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're gonna come get a picture.
Here we are.
Yes. And I also have a certificate of appreciation for a volunteer for South San Francisco Adult Education, Miss Inez Mendez. And she volunteered with our orientation and registration process for every day and evening registration this year. She wasn't able to make it, but I would like to acknowledge her. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, item D, land acknowledgement statement. We acknowledge that the South San Francisco Unified School District is located on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. Item E, reporting out from closed session.
In accordance with Government Code Section 54956 and in reference to closed session agenda item number 4, the board took action to appoint Allison Chow to the position of Director of Talent Strategy effective with the 2025-2026 school year. Trustee Murray made a motion. Trustee Shea seconded the motion. A roll call vote was taken. The vote passed with 5 ayes and 0 nays. In accordance with Government Code Section 54956 and in reference to closed session agenda item number 5, the board took action to appoint Sharimar Balisi Manalang to the position of Principal of South San Francisco High School effective with the 2025-2026 school year. Trustee Murray made a motion. Trustee Shea seconded the motion. A roll call vote was taken. The vote passed with 5 ayes and 0 nays.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on those appointments. We're really excited to have you join us. Review of agenda. We have a few things that we will not do tonight. Item G, PTA council remarks, and item L, student trustee reports. Our trustees were retired after last meeting, but we miss them. Item H.
President Anthony,
Yeah.
sorry, I have one correction.
Please.
Under action item 3D, the board memo section with fiscal implications, it should read $10,000, not $1,000.
Thank you. We'll make that correction when we get to it. All right, Staff Association representatives remarks. We'll start with South San Francisco Federation of Adult Educators. I don't think she's here tonight. Then we'll move on to South San Francisco Classroom Teachers Association.
Good evening, Cabinet, President Anthony, trustees, and South San Francisco Unified School District community. Every year, I am stunned at how quickly the time seems to pass when spring comes. Teachers run through just about every emotion during May. We are proud of our students' accomplishments, sad to see our students end their year with us, mostly, and are excited to have some time off to visit family, pursue trips or interests. What some may not realize is that May is exhausting for educators. Projects, testing, report cards, CUME records, end of the year events, closing out our classrooms, all play a part in trying our patience. The work does not end though. It is only carried on by another educator. The baton is passed and students continue on with another leg of their learning under the guidance of new hardworking educators. We honored 7 retirees this year at a free for members event, Taco Tuesday, May 13th at our CTA headquarters in Burlingame. They were Steve Patani and Aaron Clark from Westboro, Frank Morrow from SSF High School, Maria Beltran from Skyline College, Cindy Bell from Junipero Sierra, Lori Garcia Rovetta, and Tracy Neblett from Bury. Yay! In SSF CTA, we will have some new faces in our leadership teams, but it looks like you may be stuck with me and my lengthy speeches for another year. Like teaching, the work of SSF CTA continues on as well. On May 17th, many of our educators and some retirees as well joined me in CTA's Fight for Schools March in San Francisco. This fight for schools was aimed at protecting federal cuts in education that would amount to at least $5 million for our school district. Since I couldn't attend last week to this 2 weeks ago because of open house, I'll say tonight that I am grateful for our bargaining teams who are able to work together to develop a new agreement. And I am grateful to you trustees for passing it through. But I am concerned that our most recent bargaining for Children's Center is still unfinished business. Like our classrooms, the work we do with the district often gets carried forward until its completion sometime in the future. The timeline is not always in my control, but the unfinished business this year is a lot. Besides bargaining for Children's Center, there are climate surveys, demands to bargain that need to occur for TOSAs, special education, and elementary dismissal times, investigations of complaints, contracts to print, meetings with new administrators, hopefully, MOUs to be agreed upon, questions to answer about teacher assignments, grievances over discipline records, and salary placements to finish. Tonight, I would like to acknowledge some teachers who are here to speak about Children's Center. 6, I believe, out of 8 are here tonight. And teachers who are here to talk about concerns regarding next year's primary math pilot process for adoption. If teachers are here in May to voice concerns, you know they are passionate about a topic. You may see me in the summer. I'll still be working on that unfinished business. But to all my colleagues who are taking a break at the beginning of the year when I told you, you got this, I was right, you did. Thanks very much. See you soon.
Thank you so much. California School Employees Association, Chapter 197. I've got Miss Jolene Malfatti and a colleague.
Okay, good evening, President Anthony, trustees, cabinet, and audience. Superintendent Moore. As I've mentioned before, in preparation for negotiations, I send out a survey to all the classified staff members to see how we can improve any issues they may be experiencing in order to improve their work life and experience. One job class came to the forefront, which is our campus security staff members. We then added a school safety hazard pay request to our negotiation initial proposal. Sorry, I lost my spot. We discussed this with all of our classified members, and they have signed petitions district-wide in full support of our campus security staff regarding this hazard pay request. I will present these signed petitions to you shortly, but first I'd like to thank you all for coming to our CSEA Communicates meeting where we discussed the subject in detail that afternoon, so you may better understand our hazard pay request for our campus security staff. So I would now like to introduce you to our labor relations representative, Dustin Patnott.
Good evening, trustees. I've met a couple of you over the past few years if you've attended CSEA events, so it's good to see you here. I'm here this evening really just to read the body of the petitions that Jolene just passed around. And this petition was organized by members of campus security. I'm particularly impressed by how committed the members of campus security are to the safety of students and staff. And to their own safety. They're on the front lines putting themselves at risk, and the risks are growing greater and greater. So I'll just read the body of this petition for the audience and also for the trustees. It reads, "We, the undersigned classified employees of SSFUSD, urgently call upon our district leaders to recognize and address the growing epidemic of safety issues affecting students, staff, and the entire school community. Our campus security officers are the first line of defense in ensuring the well-being of everyone on campus, yet they find themselves fighting an uphill and increasingly dangerous battle without adequate support from the district and site administration. In the district's pursuit of restorative justice, progressive discipline and the enforcement of consequences have been deprioritized, leaving our schools vulnerable to escalating safety concerns. While we value a restorative approach, true justice requires both support and accountability to create a safe and respectful learning environment. Furthermore, the essential role of campus security officers in fostering a culture of safety has been overlooked, leaving us without the policies, resources, and backing needed to effectively protect our school communities. We therefore call upon the school board to work with CSEA in implementing the following critical measures. Number one, hazard pay for campus security officers to attract and retain trained professionals who are committed to student and staff safety and can afford to live in the communities they serve. Number two, transparency regarding student discipline, including informing campus security officers of what consequences were issued for specific behaviors ensuring consistency in enforcement. And number 3, stronger collaboration between campus security, administration, and special education to balance the understanding of students' individual needs with the responsibility of maintaining a secure and accountable school environment. These are the essential first steps to addressing the urgent safety crisis on our campuses. We urge you to take immediate action by working with district leadership to implement these necessary changes, ensuring that all members of our school community, students, staff, and beyond can feel safe and supported every day. Thank you very much. We do hope you take the time to review the signatures on those petitions and just consider how critical, how deeply felt this issue is for our members. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do appreciate all of our campus security staff and their loyalty and their quest to keep all of our staff, students, and schools safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Item I, Personnel Commission.
Thank you. Our next Personnel Commission meeting will be held on June 16th, 2025 at 5:00 p.m. in the district office boardroom.
Thank you so much. Item J, items from the board, announcements, board calendar, board committee reports, any updates? Okay,
Just one brief announcement. I want to congratulate or thank our classified staff because this is Employee Classified Staff Week, and we will be having a barbecue next month. And I hope to see you all. And I want to thank everyone for all the help you give our certificated staff when you both work together. So that was my main announcement. My next announcement is that we will be having a groundbreaking for the new El Camino High School kitchen. It will be on June 6th. And we'll also have one on June 11th, the following Monday, for the Westboro
June 9th.
parking. How do they call it? Parking,
The Westboro Field.
construction to ease the traffic at Westboro Middle School. And that's on June 11th at, I believe, 11 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, June 9th at 11 a.m. We'll have a
11 a.m.
groundbreaking for the Westboro Field.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item K, Superintendent's report. We may hear about that again.
Thank you very much, President Anthony. So the first I'd like to share is on our Golden Apple retiree ceremony. Last Wednesday, May 14th, we just had an amazing time celebrating 29 retirees, certificated and classified colleagues, many of whom who have been with the district for a decade or more. We also celebrated 5 of our staff members who served the district for 30 years, which is incredible. And lastly, we were able to honor some of our staff with our Golden Apple Award. And this is an award that is unique to South San Francisco Unified. This is the 38th year that the board recognizes our employees in this way. While we have, of course, numerous employees who are deserving, the board presents only a select number each year, and therefore we were able to celebrate 10 educators who were honored. The South San Francisco High School Jazz Band kept it lively and engaging. We had a full house of employees and family members and friends who came to celebrate our colleagues. The Nutritional Services Department provided delicious finger foods for us to enjoy. Our facilities team and the superintendent's office worked hard to make the space presentable and welcoming. And it was just a great event to celebrate and to acknowledge our staff at the end of the 24-25 school year. And I wanted to once again congratulate all of our honorees. This is Classified School Employee Week, and it is and always remains a privilege for us to recognize and celebrate the contributions of our classified school employees. We recognize that we have incredibly hardworking colleagues, from food services to technology to maintenance to direct classroom support staff to security to our office staff. all of our classified colleagues, as we recognize, are the backbone of our schools. And though they work behind the scenes, their impact is felt and experienced and directly influential to our students. As we did with our CTA colleagues and our AFT colleagues in collaboration with multiple partners earlier this spring, we provided each employee with a $50 gift card in recognition of their amazing efforts this year and with a deep appreciation for the work they do each and every single day to support our students, our families, and one another. We love you, we value you, and we appreciate our classified staff, and of course, all of our staff, but this is Classified School Employees Week. The district office is looking forward to celebrating with our classified colleagues during the first week of June. And then we'll also be sending just nice little surprise and certificates to our staff tomorrow as well. Promotion and graduation season. So trustees and cabinet members attended the adult education and Skyline Middle College graduation just yesterday. Next week, we will be very busy with our elementary, middle, and high school ceremonies. Our hope for next week is that we will see our students and our families who are joyful, who are relishing in these wonderful moments of time, celebrating the next chapter of their lives. A big, big congratulations to all of our students who are promoting from elementary to middle and middle to high, and to our future graduates, as well as all of our students who showed up this year, who worked hard, who made progress and growth, who treated each other with kindness, empathy, compassion, and respect. And of course, to those who earned awards, scholarships, and commendations this year, we're just incredibly proud of you. We wish you an amazing final week of school before summer. My next item, end of year. So as we close out the school year, I just want to take a moment to express my and our deep gratitude for the incredible educators, staff, families, and students who make up South San Francisco Unified School District community. This year, we have seen powerful examples of what's possible when we work together. We celebrated how our teachers were bringing the portrait of a graduate to life in their classrooms, how our principals were working with their staff to ensure that students can learn, thrive, navigate, and impact in their communities. We had an educator fellowship that lifted up both teacher and staff leadership in alignment with our strategic plan. And together, we developed a shared instructional vision through site visits, through conversations, and collaboration across roles. We listened through empathy interviews and focus groups, and your voices directly shaped key initiatives and accomplishments. We faced challenges as well, especially around math adoptions, but we worked through them together and co-created a strong implementation plan that is grounded in teacher voice and student need. And yet, we also heard loud and clear that we still have work to do, particularly around ensuring that our educators feel heard, feel valued, and meaningfully involved. We take that to heart. As we move forward, we are committed to building stronger systems of two-way communication and a deeper partnership with our school sites. Your feedback matters, and we want to continue to grow and improve together. So as we begin to look ahead, my invitation to all of us is let's return this next year with an open heart and open mind, ready to continue the journey together. Let's leave behind what no longer serves us, and let's focus on building something stronger, more united, and more student-centered than ever. From my heart to all of yours, thank you for showing up, for your honesty, for your ideas, for your candor, with your challenges or for the challenges, as well as your commitment and dedication to our students, to our families, and one another. And with that, I wish each of you a joyful, restful, and well-deserved summer that is soon coming. We still have school next week. And at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Tilly Smith, who I'd like to invite up to the podium to provide the board and our community with updates as to what's happening at Baden Continuation High School.
Thank y'all. This is my first time speaking up, so don't mind me if I start messing up and stuttering. Okay. Good evening, school boarding. My name is Tilly Smith, and I'm glad to be a representative of Baden. Our teachers really care about helping our students do well. They work hard to make sure everyone feels welcome, treated fairly, and supported so we can all do our best. Our school isn't just about preparing for the future. It's about building a strong family place where everyone can grow. We're encouraged to keep learning, set goals, making difference, and be the best versions of ourselves. One cool we do this by learning about real world issues. For example, we're learning why it's important to protect natural areas, even if they're far away. Everything in nature is connected, and when one part is infected, it can impact other ecosystems and us too. Learning about topics like this help us see what we study in school really matters. Each new term gives a student a fresh start and a chance to earn up to 15 credits. We have at-school help on Tuesdays and Thursdays, online classes, and other ways to earn credits too. Counselors are always there to help us and stay on track to find the best options for graduation. We also have PE and tutoring sessions to make sure everyone has what they need to succeed. For juniors and seniors, the College and Career Readiness class is a great way to learn about different careers, go on field trips, and hear from guest speakers in different fields. Our teachers also work the Bay Area Writing Project to learn about ways to teach writing. This helps the students become stronger writers and deeper thinkers. Baden also has awesome traditions that bring students together. Every year we go on a rope course at St. Bruno Martin Park to build teamwork, leadership, and confidence. It's fun and helps us step out of our comfort zone. At the end of the year, we celebrate with a picnic at Cody Point. There's kite flying, hiking, fishing, and a time to relax with friends and staff. These events help us feel connected at the end of the year on a positive note. Looking ahead, we're excited for the end of the year barbecue, where a teacher will try to beat us at softball, the senior breakfast, and of course, graduation. It's a great way to celebrate all that we've accomplished and the memories we've made together. As I get ready to return to my old school, I'll know I really missed the support and kindness from everyone at Baden. The teachers and the staff have made a big difference in my life, and I'm so thankful for all the help and encouragement they gave me. Thank you.
That concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tilly. All right, we struck student trustee reports, so we'll move on to M, public comments. For items not on the agenda, should not exceed public comments not on the agenda should not exceed 30 minutes. Public comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per individual. I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 speaker cards tonight. So we have the full 3 minutes. If you have a desire, you got 20 more seconds. Okay, we'll call the first person, Karen Lim. You can still bring comment cards.
Honorable members of the school board and trustees, our South San Francisco Unified School District Administration, Dr. Sanchara Moore, esteemed colleagues in our community, good evening. My name is Karen Lim, and I proudly serve as one of the 8th children-centered teachers at Hillside. With nearly 6 years of dedication to our district, I stand here with my colleagues to advocate passionately for an increase in compensation for preschool teachers. Preschool teachers are the foundation of our education system, playing an irreplaceable role in shaping the futures of our young children. We do more than school readiness. We inspire their critical social and emotional growth. Research unequivocally demonstrates that quality early childhood education dramatically increases a child's chances for lifelong success. The portrait and journey of every graduate begins with devoted preschool teachers who meticulously lay this essential groundwork. With the highest respect for our elementary and secondary colleagues, we bear the same responsibilities as current TK teachers, yet we receive only half of their salary. We conduct thorough assessments, pursue rigorous training, and earn our degrees. As early childhood educators specializing in general education, we advocate for our special needs students and actively participate in their individualized education programs, or IEPs. We are not merely daycare providers. We reject that label. We are dedicated educators who are deeply committed to the well-being and success of our students. While others enjoy their President's Week, Thanksgiving week, and spring and summer breaks, we only have winter break, a time we dedicate to family, rejuvenation, both physically and mentally, and crafting engaging lessons for our students. As 12-month employees, we tirelessly serve our students and families. We are the backbone of the nation's economy. We unequivocally deserve the same breaks, respect, and most critically, equal pay as our fellow educators. To nurture our students and families effectively, we must also be nurtured because we are vital members of this community, and our contributions matter. We matter. We stand here united, demanding to be seen and heard. We are South San Francisco Unified. Thank you and for your time and attention. Please come and visit us when you have time, anytime, to all our classrooms to see all the magical things that are happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Martha De Leon.
Good evening, President Anthony, trustees, Dr. Moore, and cabinet. My name is Marta De Leon. I have been working in the district for almost 25 years. I am one of the 8 teachers at Children's Center. We are the first step to education in the district. We are asking for your support in increasing our salary. We are doing more or at least the same work as TK teachers, but we work 12 months and receive 27 grand less. During the school year, we also have to do all the assessment to the children. We have parent-teacher conference too. And on top of that, we also have like the regular teachers IEPs too. So we haven't done all the same work as TK teachers. And yes, we work 12 months. We just only have, as my colleague mentioned, only a winter break, right? We try to help our kids when they're coming with no signs to be in the classrooms. So we are, like babysitters. We are the, from my heart, we always said, we're gonna try to give all the love that those kids need when the parents are working. So mentally, we support them. We honestly, we try from our bottom to teach all those kids. And our first responsibility is to make sure that those kids are gonna be doing a great job in kindergarten. This time is new for me, TK. But our kids, before they move to kindergarten, I always ask my parents, please come back and let us know how the kids are. And they coming back and they told us, our kids are very, very great. Teacher says that they can notice when the kids are coming from at this part from Children's Center. Kids are ready to absorb everything from the teachers. They already know the ABCs, sounds, letters. They already start doing addition. They already start making words, like cut and forming all that stuff. So honestly, we invite you to come and see all the work that we have done in Children's Center, Dr. Moore. So we extend the invitation to all of you to come and see the work that we're doing. And, I love to be working here. My kids also graduate from this place too. So I hope we can receive your support. I love working at Children's Center, but community for me is so hard. I'm living in Hayward, but I love to work here. So please come and visit us and see all the work that we've done. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sandra Vergara.
Hi, good evening. I'm here to talk about El Camino High School dance program specifically and why the dance program has no PE credit. Several years ago, the board approved at the then time the school to receive PE credit for dance. Several hours ago, before me coming here, I spoke to someone at the CDE in charge of education programs, more specifically PE, to see if something's changed within the state level. And I was told by that person that dance is definitely part of the 8 PE content areas required for PE. So I want to know why, and would like the board to help to find out why this new principal, ever since he joined El Camino High School, the dance PE credit went away. Why? What, was there a local decision to give the dance only elective for performing arts credit versus PE when the teacher is certified to teach PE, and dance specifically is a physical movement within the performing arts, various different areas? I don't understand why. We've went to the school administration, we went to the school district, and we're not getting anything resolved. So I'm asking the board to please help why the program, not due to a lack of interest, why the program went from 200 to now 70 students. And it's like going away. And to add insult to injury, the school wants to combine the various different dance levels into one class. Why? That doesn't make sense. Just because it's not an academic, you don't combine basic math with honor class with the APD. There's different levels, requires different motor skills, etc. So I'm urging the board to please help to find out why this school has done away with the PE credit with no explanation. Is it a matter of a sexist thing? Because this seems to be an all-male dominated school. They want to keep running to the athletic department. Why? Is the athletic department in charge over and above the principal? Is the school principal over and above you board members and the school district? Why? We really, really, really need some help here in this area. And I don't know if they're just trying to make her crazy and just quit. I don't understand. We really, really would love help. We don't come to the school district often. The school boosters pays for everything outside of her salary, everything for the school department, as well as the theater. And I know the school district has been funding South City High School Dance Department. They're getting a new APD class. So we're really not asking for money. We just want answers and why there is no PE credit. Please help. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Grace Messina.
Hi, I'm a former parent of El Camino High School and an officer of the Dance Booster. I am concerned about, like Sandra had mentioned, about the dance program at El Camino High School. We used to have over 200 students when my kids were there, and this year we're down to 70 students. That's not very much. Ever since the principal, our number came in, the new principal, we have our numbers diminish down in dance. And then Miss Feliciana Stevenson is asked to combine levels, and that would be disastrous, just as Sandra had mentioned. We have brought this up to the administration. There's no responses. We brought this up to the school district, the superintendent and assistant superintendent, and Keith Irish. So this is a few years back. We asked them if we need to sign a petition or bring parents to the board meeting, and we were told no, that it would be taken care of, and it hasn't been. So parents and students have told us we have a dance show, and if you haven't gone to the dance show, it's amazing. It's not even like a high school dance show. It's a really great dance show. It's because of the lack of PE credit, and that's why they're not signing up for dance, because they have to do PE as opposed to dance. So we would like to have your support in getting our dance program to be part of the PE credit like it used to be, and now it's gone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Moore will come and get your contact information. We have been looking for an answer and what happened and what changed. So, but we have not gotten that answer yet. Mark Estrada, you gave me a yellow thing, but I think this is off topic from our agenda. So I'm going to invite you up now.
Good evening, board members. My name is Mark Estrada, and I have been the college career technician at El Camino since November 2023. I brought intentions of positive engagement, setting up students for success, whether it be during the school year, summer, or after high school. I would say along with the agreement with some others in my team, school, district, and community members, I have done a meaningful job in creating events, opportunities, dialogue, and inspiration for El Camino students. I've reached the last step on the salary schedule in less than a calendar year, despite having valuable experience. Although I don't hold a master's degree, the outdated job description doesn't reflect how much I've evolved the career center technician role as stated on the document. On November 2nd, 2024, I welcomed my baby girl, an incredible and unexpected gift. While the past 6 months have been filled with joy at home, also a ton of uncertainty at work, her arrival has made me reflect deeply on my future. I love my role, but it needs an upgrade, whether through revised job description, increased budget for the counseling department, increasing hours. I'm currently at 35. I'm just trying to see if I could push it to 40. Or expanding the salary schedule to ensure long-term stability. I'm 29 and I hope to build a home with my family. To hear waiting 6 years for my next raise was pretty wild to hear. If college units could count towards salary increases, it would motivate further education and professional growth within myself, especially if supported by the district. I love my role at El Camino and I see a long-term future here. My counseling team has been incredible, especially Kate Espiritu Gonzalez, who brought me here, along with Alexis LeMay, Mary Hur, Stephanie Makama, Alex Carrion, and AP Joel Meneja. Yeah, I thank you for your time and I wish you a great graduation season this summer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Megan Connery. Good evening, trustees, cabinet, and South City public. My name is Megan Connery, and tonight I am speaking to you in my capacity as a member of the executive board of the South San Francisco Classroom Teachers Association. At the last school board meeting, the school board approved the amazing tentative agreement between the district and the union. A small appendix to the agreement was the column grievance, where members were not correctly placed in the appropriate column on the salary schedule. Only the 29 certificated unit members named in Exhibit A were going to have their placement reviewed. Most of these 29 people are incredibly grateful. One of my teachers will be receiving close to $5,000 in retro pay. The union tried to find all of the union members incorrectly placed so that they could be named in the grievance. But what if someone was missed? How would a new teacher discover their incorrect placement? Well, it's too late now. They're just going to have to wait until the next school year when HR will be making sure that all certificated staff who are not in the furthest column of the salary schedule are correctly placed. Another unfortunate part of the grievance was that the district is only going back to July 1st, 2022, retroactively based on the law. Salary issues only go back 3 years. We all know that the incorrect column placements have been occurring since January 2020. I can't wait to see the new portrait of an educator, since according to the strategic plan, part of an empowered educator means that 90% of the educators are engaged and satisfied. Imagine how satisfied the educators would be if the retroactive pay went back to when the issue actually began. Imagine how satisfied the educators would be if the district fixed every member's incorrect placement, regardless of whether they were named in the grievance. Members of the board, you have the power to direct Mr. Hanan to fix everyone who was incorrectly placed since January 2020, not just the named members and not just the required 3-year retro pay. That would be an excellent start towards the 90% goal of engaged and satisfied educators. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much. Michael Harris.
Good evening, Madam President. Good evening, Madam Superintendent. Again, petition the board for redress. I request the school bonds be sold directly to members of the community. I have an email from Ted. These are sold into the primary market through his wholesaler. They are not available on the secondary market to me or anyone here. I went round and round with JP Morgan on this. They told me to take my money somewhere else. I will. I'm rather unhappy about this, and the way I've been treated both by them and what's not available to me here. On another note, Jackie Spears is having a town hall meeting next Thursday night. It's community campus. I got an Eventbrite ticket today. It was the first I learned of it. Evidently, City Hall's known about it for some time. So anybody who wants to see Jackie, this is a good time. If you have any questions to ask her, I've known her since about 1978. She got me help with the County Veteran Service Office. I couldn't get help anywhere else. Thank you much.
Thank you so much. I will move to item N, information only presentations. Number 1, educational services, teaching and learning presentation, alternative education / Baden High School.
Hi, it is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Seema Prasad, principal at Baden High School and adult education and our alternative education programs, and she will walk the board and community through key aspects of the campus. Principal Prasad.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Good evening again, President Anthony, Dr. Moore, Board and Cabinet, and our students here in attendance, Ms. Wynn, one of my teachers, community members here and at home. It's my pleasure to share the alternative education program that we have, and I'm trying to figure out where do I. Oh, got it. Thank you, Dowdy. So I'm going to do a school overview focusing on our Baden High School program first. The values at Baden are reflected on the slide. We are focused on academic and literacy skills, supporting students to navigate through college and career options, and to maintain an environment where all students and staff feel welcome and experience a sense of belonging. What I'd like to highlight is the fact that when folks think of Baden High School, they're thinking of the continuation program, but we also have 3 other programs that are under the Baden umbrella. Continuation High School is our main high school program with 180 credit diploma. Independent Study also is 180 credit diploma. Our therapeutic classroom program is a self-contained special education setting, and that's a 220 credit diploma. And our adult transition program is actually students, they're called grade 12 plus because they're adults 18 to 22, and that's also our 100% special education setting. So if you're looking at the special ed rates, that's reflected there, that therapeutic and ATP are all special education. In using everyday labs, we're able to dive into our absence reports a little more clearly and work with our teams to identify strategies and interventions to support students who are most chronically absent. It has come to light that most of those students are in our special education programs and need some differentiated supports, but it's really nice to have this tool to be able to identify easily and clearly where we need to target support. We've had some improvements in our attendance month to month comparative to last year, which is very nice to see that we're seeing slow, steady improvement in chronic absenteeism as well as our attendance rates at our campus. So this slide reflects our CASP data for 23-24. We're pleased to see that 24% of our students have met or exceeded standards in ELA, and we're seeing a population of student that's almost there that we're going to push through with support next year. Math is a continued growth area, and science is interesting because those are 12th graders who take the test, and some of them may not have had science curriculum or classes for a couple of years. So, that's interesting to see. So this is our 3-year comparison data of ELA and math across a few different demographics, our Hispanic Latinx students, socioeconomically disadvantaged, and then the last one is all students. And there's a marked increase in our ELA focus, and that's, I'll talk a little bit more about that on our SIPSA goal, but we're trying a few things and they seem to be working really well for students. The green here is great. It's reflective of our culture, our climate and culture on campus. We are very committed to using restorative practices and alternative to suspension interventions, which keeps our suspension levels low. We have been targeted for continued comprehensive support and improvement grant funding to help implement strategies to increase our graduation rate. So that program is continuing and helping support a lot of our SIPSA goals this year as well. And college and career, we did start our college and career class, and I'm working with Miss Jennifer Raquette, our CTE coordinator, who is helping us retool that class into one that would be accepted under a CTE umbrella. So hoping to see some improvements there. Now this one, why are we gray? And it's because our 11th graders who take the CASP, we don't have enough of them. If there's fewer than 30, they don't show up, but that doesn't mean they're not achieving. Because if you look at the points increased across the board, we're seeing great increases, especially in ELA, but also some increases in math, our EL learners, and we've maintained in college and career. So, we're on the right track. Academic engagement. So again, we've been identified for CSI support to help support students through graduation. And the conditions and climates that actually decreasing is good because it means we had fewer suspensions. So that's going along the right track as well. So our SIPSA goals for this year continued on with a dedicated focus on ELA and writing curriculum. We have seen the growth reflected in our CASP data, but also on our local assessments as well, with students showing increases on a common rubric that we have implemented across content areas. And our teachers are very engaged in the Bay Area Writing Project professional development that we roll out throughout the school year. And we're seeing growth and improvement and seeing students engaging in those academic discourse strategies and conversations. Some of them are here. So the work that you guys do, I'm sharing with the board today. Oh, that's also aligned with strategic priority 1, exceptional instruction. Our second SIPSA goal, and I spoke a little bit about this, is we have a dual enrollment college and career, Counseling 101 and Counseling 102 through Skyline College, co-taught by our counselor, Ms. Senko. That includes our field trips, guest speakers, exposure to many colleges and career opportunities. And that's aligned to strategic priority 2, engage students, and our graduate aims of learn and navigate. Our third SIPSA goal is to increase student support services and school culture. And we already have a strong culture, but the additional grant funding has allowed us to do some of the activities that Tilly spoke about earlier. Our after-school support to make up credits, top credit earner recognition, field trips, celebrations. And what I'm really proud of, what our whole campus is proud of, is in the California Healthy Kids Survey, 70% of students reported having a caring adult on campus. We see in our school culture, our care values come to life every day. And it's just, I don't have enough space for all the pictures that I wanted to share, but I wanted to focus in on our ropes course, which is a wonderful team building activity. We had many students participate, being outdoors, connecting on some challenging activities, lifting each other up. I think some of our attendees are in those pictures. And the college and careers, seeing really what Skyline looks like and what the programming looks like up there. Still, some of our students have never been to Skyline College. And if they don't know one who's attended the college, then this has been the first exposure for them. So it's really great to see that through our students' eyes. And our portrait of a graduate comes to life in the classrooms every day, in our conversations, in the offerings that we have during school, after school, the access that our students have to their counselors who are outstanding, the teachers who see them every day, but seeing them engage in academic conversation and stretching their thinking and seeing the work that comes out of this, project that we've been working on it's been really amazing. So very grateful to our students for their dedication and to our teachers, of course. I'm going to move on to South San Francisco adult education. Just one quick slide just to show you some of our highlights for our school year at adult ed. 15 students transitioned to college this year. We have 26. We got another one today, high school graduate. Thank you to Ms. Murray for attending our graduation and Mr. O for taking some pictures. It was lovely to see you there. We do have over 600 students enrolled at adult ed from day, evening, and our online programming. It was 1,200 pre-pandemic, so I'm on a mission to get those numbers back up. We have our continued partnership with Job Train and our medical assistant certification course, which is a free class in partnership with Job Train. 4 nights a week, 17 weeks, and you become a certified medical assistant. I have a student who graduated high school last year and is now been hired full-time at Kaiser in South San Francisco. So a lot of success stories out of that program. And we just received an ELL healthcare pathway grant in partnership with Skyline College. So we're offering a class at adult school that's going to lead to hopefully the EMT program, but also be an intro course to multiple medical careers. So exciting things are happening at adult ed. And our adult transition program, where our graduate aims come to life all the time. Our students learn life and work skills, daily living skills, show they're thriving. They navigate their transportation and multiple different activities. And I think the DO coffee cart has become a favorite. I would like to take a moment to thank our classified staff and acknowledge them for Classified School Employees Week. Miss Cynthia Villar retired in December, and she was honored with a wonderful plaque after 36 years of service. So I miss her, and she's got, big shoes to fill there, but I'd like to thank Carmen Torres and Susan Chong for filling in the meantime. Well, I've been looking for a replacement, and for all of our students, staff, and teachers across our campus for their support. And also the South San Francisco Educational Foundation, Bay Ed Fund, South San Francisco Rotary, and the Chamber of Commerce for their donations and their support. The books that we order, the field trips, the funding comes from all of this generous support. So I'm very grateful. We had a great year. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Questions, comments, board? Trustee Richardson?
I'm so happy to hear about this little it's like a little, how should I say, a little we rescue certain type of students in this campus. Is really a nice environment for them. I just wanted to ask you, how many students were at the Skyline Middle dual enrollment? That's the same as middle college, correct?
No, it's not the same as middle college. Our counselor teaches a course twice a year. And some of the students actually are here that participated in college and career. I believe we had about 15 or 18 students take the class within the 2 cohorts this year. So it's different than middle college.
Do you send any students to middle college?
No, it's a separate program.
Oh, okay. And I noticed that, one day I hope that we'll get a student sitting here as a student trustee. I know it's taking a while. I just want to encourage the students that, we need to, you're a high school and we have high school positions open. So we want to include you. And then I do hope that they take up the government courses put on by the city of South San Francisco. That would certainly help.
We actually do have one student participating in student government.
I thought I
Yes,
saw,
yes.
yeah, I think I remember him. Thank you very much. This is a wonderful school. It really is. And the teachers are so dedicated. I appreciate them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Trustee Lamb?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I've enjoyed, always learning something new about all the schools, but yeah, just loved hearing about Baden, and I loved, hearing about the growth, particularly in ELA and, all just across the board. So that's really encouraging. And I hadn't realized that at least on the adult education side, there were so many currently enrolled, and that we had even more back in the day. So yeah, I do hope, wish you more continued progress to kind of bring up those numbers back. I think about my mom. She went to night school when she came to this country, I don't know, a few decades ago. So I always, this is an important work. So just, yeah, thank you for supporting, all the various students. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Trustee Shea?
Thank you. Thank you so much for the great presentation. Always precise, clear, and right to the point. And then thank you for your great leadership. And then thank you for all the students are here. Thank you.
It was a wonderful graduation last night. What I wanted to say was that all of your programs show students with a lot of resilience, whether it's the kids that are making up credits and they learn in a different way, and that's the perfect place for them, or whether they're in adult school or ATP and they're learning new skills and growing. And part of my speech last night said that the students you have are the ones that say, I'm not done learning, I'm not done growing. And that's what's so special about what you do. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
There's so many good things in this presentation. Amazing on their CAST results. I mean, going from double, it's amazing. Great job. And that 70% of your students have a trusted adult at the school, also amazing. So one thing that Ms. Smith said is that as she goes back, she's really going to miss this. And Baden's a continuation high school, right? And so that means you can only come there after you are already behind on credits. This is just thinking out loud, like, given the environment that you're creating here and the fact that not everybody, just the comprehensive high schools are really big. And is there a chance of us ever doing an alternative high school? So it's just like this all the time and everybody can go to it if they need to go to it instead of just being a continuation?
Oh, the teacher in me is always going to say yes. The administrator needs facilities support, Mr. O.
Okay. I know that's probably a question I should have teed up earlier, but I just was listening and looking at this and thinking, how great would it be to have those relationships all the time for the students who need them, right? I mean, that's just what you want. Keep it up. Glad to see you back here. Glad to see all the opportunities that our students are having, and really glad that you're at the helm.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Item N, information only presentations, number 1B, math proposal elementary. Dr. Moore, do you want to introduce?
Sure, I'd like to invite Mr. Jason Brockmeyer to the podium, and he will present the elementary math proposal to the board in our community. Welcome, Mr. Brockmeyer.
Good evening. President Anthony and trustees, Dr. Moore, cabinet, community. I am joined here tonight with my fabulous math team, Satya and Carrie, so they are here in the audience. So tonight, we'll be presenting our proposal to the board on our next steps regarding our elementary math adoption. So tonight, we will be providing our recommendation, our thinking behind that recommendation, looking at the implementation timeline, and then really what our immediate next steps are. So, as we've heard, together with our community, we've developed a strategic plan that led to our portrait of graduate, core values, and our strategic priorities. Our portrait of a graduate is our promise to our community and ensuring all students have access to high-quality learning materials, high-quality instruction, ultimately leading to continuous learning and textual curiosity and critical thinking. As you've heard from our community last time, there is a need to update our math materials. So this is our math vision. We've talked a lot about this. This was created by our educators and reflects our commitment to ensuring all students have access to high-quality math learning. in all math classrooms across our district. And then a little bit of a timeline on how we got here. So as you all are aware, this year we piloted IM curriculum throughout the year. It is important to note that it was just with our 3rd through 5th grade educators. So our K through 2 educators did not pilot this year. So through the pilot process all year, they ultimately made recommendations in the spring, basically looking at how does the curriculum align to our identified priorities. That got submitted to EDS, Educational Services Leadership, along with the student survey data, teacher survey data, assessment data, and strengths and challenges data. You saw a lot of that data relating to secondary last time. And ultimately, EDS leadership and the math team took a close look at all of that to make determination if we would be bringing forward a recommendation to adopt. That then our thinking was actually brought to cabinet to give cabinet's input on where we were. And ultimately we decided that we were not ready to make a recommendation to adopt IM for grades 3 through 5 for this year. So what is our proposal of how we move forward? So one of the big thinkings is because of we only piloted grades 3 through 5 to this year or the upcoming year that we would relaunch a pilot K through 5. And ultimately this would be initiating the process from the very beginning, ultimately establishing a new pilot team, going through a process of regrounding in our vision, clarifying our curriculum priorities, waiting for the state approved list to be released, which is supposed to be in November. At that time, with the state approved list, identifying materials that we would then pilot. I think it's also important to understand too that part of this process next year is to continue focused on our math priority and engaging all of our elementary educators in deep professional learning around the framework and the instructional shifts. So that would be going alongside our piloting team. So continuing to focus on our math priorities, continuing to build professional learning with our educators, all in preparation of making a determination in the spring of next year and implementing the following year. So just some rationale around the recommendation. We did think it was very important to have a K through 5 team based on the input from the piloting team this year to ensure that we do identify a curriculum to adopt that is K through 5 aligned. It also just gives us more time. We've got a lot of feedback around the need to just support all of our elementary educators in grounding in the Common Core standards, understanding the shifts in the framework, and building the practices in the classroom to be prepared to launch a new curriculum. This directly supports our priorities next year around discourse and implementing high quality materials. And it really gives us more time to build out capacity amongst the district and at our sites. And not on here, but really for us to learn as we launch our secondary implementation next year, which is about 50 teachers. It does help us learn through implementation next year, the things that we could apply when we do get to elementary, which will be over 200 educators that we will be impacting when we do decide to launch into our implementation. It's just some theories of actions of how we got here is just really thinking about like if we do really reground in our vision, if we do get very clear on what the curriculum priorities are and what they mean, that will lead us ultimately into identifying materials that are high quality and that closely align to our curriculum priorities to pilot, leading to building in more consensus with the team, which will ultimately lead to us getting increased buy-in when we do get to the final adoption recommendation. And then with all of our math educators, we've learned a lot through the last 2 years of piloting and just really hearing them, understanding that just a lot more work needs to be done around supporting them with the shifts, supporting them with understanding the standards and building their confidence in the content in preparation for implementation. We know we need to build capacity amongst our leadership and amongst our throughout our sites. So again, just buying us some more time to ultimately lead to more successful preparation for implementation across all of our elementary sites. So this is a timeline, a very high-level timeline. On the top is our adoption team. On the bottom is all elementary educators. And so ultimately, in the fall, just doing a lot of professional learning around the framework, regrounding in our vision, looking at our curriculum priorities that were identified about 1.5 years ago, really clarifying them. Through the process, we had a lot of questions about what some things mean, and so making sure we are very clear what the priorities mean. And then again, in November, the state's supposed to release their approved list. At that time, we would start looking at those materials, identify materials to pilot, and then launch piloting in January. We could pilot up to 2 materials in the spring. I will say this is a very aggressive timeline, but is like the most doable timeline to get us to where we can have adopted materials leading and implementing the following year. Then on the bottom is just the timeline looking at how all educators are engaging in high quality professional learning throughout the year. Again, all in preparation for implementation of the materials the following year. There are some dependencies if the state does not release their list on time. There are some dependencies that we have to keep this timeline. And we'll stress this is a pretty aggressive timeline, but I think doable, but just that it is a pretty aggressive timeline. So as a high school English teacher, there's been a lot of talk around literacy and that, somewhat like if we're focused on math, we're not focused on literacy, and just something that I've often cited as a high school English teacher and department head is, literacy is the responsibility of everybody. And through math and math instruction, and especially at elementary, we can continue to focus on literacy and see it, such as through our math language routines and those things in our mathematics classroom. So it's not either or, it's just continuing through the lens of math. How do we help support literacy? And something in the appendix just to refer to is to see that we do still have a lot of resources flowing to literacy support. And actually probably as we get to implementation to think about how we could support and make sure math is successful. So based on kind of the feedback tonight, our immediate next steps would be really starting to ramp up communication to everyone. We have done some initial communication out to our elementary educators just because of the timeline. We do need to identify a pilot team to be ready in August. We actually have a training in June, that's June 3rd and 4th with SVMI. This was initially scheduled for our K-2 pilot teachers, and now we've expanded it K-5. And then we have been exploring some possible partnerships to support us with this process. This is what we'll be recruiting. Again, we've already started this process for our K-5 adoption team. And something that we've been working on, we have a handful of K-2 teachers and Satya that have been in a year-long professional learning with Cal Curriculum and Ed Reports. Part of that process, we were made aware of a partnership in which they're supporting 12 districts across the state with the identification and adoption of high-quality math materials. We were interviewed a couple months ago and actually recently were notified that we were selected and that we could join this cohort. And they provide free support to us in the adoption process, leading everything up into the launch. So we have not agreed to be part of this partnership, but we have been selected. Something that I think is very important to note is that if we do join this partnership, that we must pilot IM. And so something that we do really need to consider about that. So we've been selected. Again, we have not said that we would join. And it's important to note too that the word pilot that they use is slightly different than the word pilot we use. So something that is promising, something that we can explore. It is a big layer of support that they would provide to us through the process. And then just looking at success measures, if we were to go this route, ultimately identifying pilot materials that do closely align to our curriculum priorities, further support from a K through 5 team with our recommendation. We do think it is vitally important that we are identifying materials to adopt K through 5, and that we continue to show robust professional learning with our educators. We had very positive feedback this year around our professional learning, specifically with SVMI, and we have been continuing that partnership and look to extend it through next year to continue to provide our educators with the support. And then also focused on continuous improvement cycles at our elementary sites to continue that focus of supporting the shifts in practice within our math classrooms. And just a reminder that success is tough. It is never a straight line, and that we continue to learn through this whole process. We've learned a lot, and we will continue to learn, and will continue to be bumpy throughout the process. But we continue to move forward. We continue to, engage our educators in the process, and so we do appreciate all the time and the feedback they have provided us. And just know that through all the ups and downs, we continue to move forward, and we will. We are confident we will arrive at a recommendation that we do believe is best for our learners, and that is supported by our pilot team. And that's really our recommendation bringing forward. And that brings us to the end. There are a couple items in the appendix that you could look at, but
I have a bunch of questions, but I will let my colleagues start. Trustee Richardson?
Hi, Ms. Brockmeyer. I just had one question. You said the first program rolled out was from 3 to 5. That was the one currently being used. But what happens to those students from 5 to 8? What kind of math are they getting?
so our 6th through 8th grade students will they will have a new curriculum next year. They will be implementing a new curriculum, grades 6 through Algebra 2. Our 3 through 5th grade teachers will now get included in a kindergarten through 5th grade pilot team if we move forward with this proposal.
6, okay.
Yeah, so 6 through 8, they will be implementing a new materials that you all adopted or approve the recommendation, and then K through 5 will all be engaging in a pilot process if we move forward with this proposal.
Oh, okay, because I didn't hear you talk about the 6 to 8, because after they finished the 5th, say, for example, I was wondering what was going to happen to those students from 6 to 8, because you did mention about the high school. You will implement the high school.
We
next
adopted
year.
for 6 through 8,
Yeah, okay.
6 through 12.
I was just wondering if there were going to be gaps or something. I just don't get.
No, we do want to make sure that whatever we're doing in kindergarten through 1st, 3rd, 4th is all preparing them for middle and high school. So we do want alignment. It doesn't have to be the identical materials, but again, that they are aligned to our curriculum priorities, and those will ensure alignment K through high school.
Trustee Lamb?
Hi.
Good evening.
Hello. First of all, thank you, three of you and all of you, and the entire team for working just to navigate through all these issues. I know it's been a lot of behind the scenes things. It's a lot of complicated issues to work through. I really appreciate, and I really do take what, all the recommendations that you're saying very seriously. I do have concerns, and I feel it's important to voice them, just to
please do.
to say them, because first of all, just the fact that there's a delay is kind of not, it's I would say disappointing. It's I don't like there are kids that are waiting for some change, these changes to happen, and we had seen some anecdotal evidence, through public comments and so forth in the past of, that of the piloting, those in the pilot classes who had benefited, whereas, in previous, like with the older math curriculum, maybe they did not. So I'd say that, delay is not a great, it's not great news. I also just want to express that, delay for delay's sake is not a good thing. And I'm not saying that, this is what it is, but I I just really want to stress that, we're trying to hit, I understand we're trying to hit certain goals and, I wonder, talking about, when you were talking about grounding the teachers in the framework, I wonder if a lot of the tensions around the curriculum have more to do with the framework than the curriculum itself, because I feel like throughout the process, it seems like the curriculum was maybe getting blamed for certain things where perhaps it was just, trying to figure out, how to adjust a teaching approach with what the framework calls for. And I'm sorry, could you speak to that about, whether, framework versus the curriculum, if that is a source of tension, and it's just what you're proposing, trying to kind of pull that apart a little bit.
So yeah, there's a myriad of reasons of what, but what we have really learned is just to continue to provide our educators with the support they need to prepare for implementation. And though next year we will not have high quality materials, and we know that we currently do not have high quality materials, there is consensus amongst the pilot team, and I think amongst a broad set of elementary educators, that we do need to identify new curriculum, but we also need to make sure that we are prepared to implement those materials. And part of this plan is just to be clear that we are highly focused on the instructional practices, implementing those practices across all our elementary classrooms next year that will be found in whatever curriculum that we do identify. So we are just continuing to move forward with supporting the shifts in instructional practice and tier 1 instruction that we need to see in our classrooms, while still making sure that we find materials that are aligned K through 5 and building further support. So when we do implement that, we're just better prepared. We are going all in on supporting educators with their shifts in the mathematical practices that we need to see and that we want to see all through next year, with the idea behind that when we do get ready for implementation, we'll be more prepared. We're never going to be completely prepared, and that we're getting that K through 5 coherence. So it's not just 3 through 5 implementing, but it is K through 5. They've got one more year of deep professional learning, further understanding of the shifts, practicing those instructional routines in their classrooms with a lot of support, all in preparation for implementation the following year. So it's two things running side by side, still working to ensure we get high quality curriculum. One of the challenges with implementing some of these instructional routines into the classrooms is that our current curriculum does not lend itself well to those. So something that we do need to work through. But I think through that process too, it's a great learning opportunity for us to see more and more that these materials are not what we need, and that we need something that looks a lot different. And that's probably going to be a little bit uncomfortable for some, for most, and that we continue to work through that uncomfortableness next year. So it is still really trying to, continuing to support educators with their tier 1 instruction and continuing to grow their practice.
Yeah, thanks. And I think that piece of it makes me it helps a little bit, make me at least okay-ish with this plan, because it is still working towards that, the goal of, like, the state is calling, for, this different approach, and we're trying to figure it out. That I think that the piece of it regarding the, piloting in the winter time. So it sounds like we may do up to 2 curriculum, and we're, I know we're waiting for that list to come out. That piece concerns me as well, because it seems like if there is a delay in that list coming out, or if we start piloting it and I don't know, there could be a number of things that could go wrong, and I don't want to be a negative Nelly, but things could go wrong, and we may still end up in a place where we are delayed to not, instead of implementing something in 2026, we are actually looking at implementing in 2027. So that piece it is concerning. I don't have a suggestion of like what to do to speed things up. But I think okay, so here's my other question too, is we've been piloting IM for quite a while now. If the goal is to shop for like another curriculum to compare it to, I mean, is that something that would make that shorter time frame of piloting one or two curriculum, I don't know, plausible? Like it's a plausible plan because we already have that. We have already had IM that we've tested for quite a while now.
Yeah, so I think through the whole process of piloting, again, it is deep professional learning. And I think this year the team did just a fantastic job with that piloting team of supporting them through understanding the shifts in the curriculum that we will need to support those shifts. With that, just learning too, that we just need some more time developing that. It is important, like in elementary, like we must adopt something that is on that state approved list. So I think, now being that there is, that we did not pilot K through 5, waiting for that list is important. And a lot of things can go wrong. I think through the direction of this board, if it's like, hey, this must happen next year, and that's kind of the guidance that we're looking at is, if, get the K through 5 team, even though it is an aggressive timeline, that, we do need to make a decision next year. There's always unforeseen circumstances, things out of our control. The state doesn't produce a list, and then we can talk about what that would mean. There is part of this, being part of this cohort is something that is interesting because it does bring 12 districts across the state together to kind of navigate through all of this together. And their timeline that they are proposing is that you would be bringing forward a curriculum recommendation in the spring next year. So that is their proposed timeline. They too agree that it is somewhat aggressive, but that it is needed. And I think if the guidance is that we do need to move at that, we will give it another year. We did hear and we did listen, but that there is urgency on the other side, that we do get high quality materials in the hands of our teachers with that support so that our kids are accessing those high quality materials. And just, and reminding that we can continue to support the practice, continue to support deeper understanding of the standards and the framework, while still working to make sure we get the curriculum that does line well to our priorities and that we're further prepared for implementation. Interestingly, like, the identification of materials is the easy part. I think I told this last time, it's the implementation that is really the big challenge. So, getting a little bit more time to prepare for implementation, again, learning from the 6 through 12 implementation for this upcoming year. And again, just around the implementation itself of whatever the materials are, but it helps us kind of work through that system and be better prepared for a broader set of educators that we will be engaging with at the elementary level. I don't know if I answered your question directly. Did I?
Let's move on. Someone else can ask questions. I have many, but.
Okay. I just want to make a time check note. It is 8:27. I see that you have some comments, Dr. Shea. Are they 3 minutes long, or do you want me to just take a break? Let's take a break, and then we'll come
I thought
back.
you were going to put her on the clock. Yeah, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll come
Okay,
back
we'll
in
take a break.
10 minutes. All right, we are back. Trustee Shay, did you? Yes.
I have a question. Thank you so much for all the great work. First, we adopt our secondary, which is wonderful, the math curriculum. And so really appreciate the team. So I do have one question. Could you please share the factor that preventing the decision to adopt a curriculum for 3 to 5 grade? And then what is the specific reason now we move to K to 12 pilot? So I have two questions. So one is, what are the factors prevent us to make the decision to adopt the curriculum for grade 3 to 5?
So, the decision was just really based on all the data that we had available to us. So really, Satya and Carrie to an extent are in all the sessions. I was in almost every single session with our educators through the whole process, the recommendation process, really listening to them, hearing, what they're saying as far as the curriculum alignment to our priorities, the needs that they have, the support concerns that they have. Even Dr. Moore joined us for one. And so, really taking all of that information in over the last, semester or, 3 or 4 months, looking at the data that we had and just really thinking about listening, what were all the things raised, what were really valid things, having an aligned K through 5 curriculum, needing further professional learning and support, making sure that we're prepared for implementation, and a lot of just building trust amongst our elementary educators of hey, we are hearing you, we are here to support you. One of our key goals this year was providing support and making sustained deep support, and we are doing that, and so we are building that trust. And then looking at all the other data that we had, and that's what led us that just really thinking that are we currently ready to adopt new materials, or do we need more time to continue to prepare for the implementation of whatever those materials are? And I think that's what led to that decision.
So can you be specific? What are the factors that prevent all the information that you see that get you to make a decision? We are not ready for the curriculum adoption, because we did this last year, which we have 3 members, we did not support the adoption. And then we passed this whole year, a lot of support there. And then to this point, we're still not ready. I would like to know really what are the factors that prevent you analyzing the data, say, no, we are not ready. What are they?
So I got someone maybe.
Trustee Lamb's question, or actually observation, that a lot of what we heard about the curriculum really was more about a lack of alignment or understanding of the standards and the framework. I think that really is the case.
Okay.
What's interesting is one of our colleagues was going through cleaning her office last week, and she found a packet from the last district-wide elementary math professional learning from 2014. That was the last time that we, besides the 80 minutes that we were given this year, that we engaged all of our elementary teachers in learning around the standards. That was before, 9 years before the new framework. And that was, we had, or the district, I was a teacher back then, I remember it. We had SBMI come out and work with all of our teachers. And then we got a curriculum that was labeled, it had stickers on it that said it was Common Core aligned. And over years, we have found that it is not truly Common Core aligned. There's that expression about going slow to go fast. And I think that's the situation we are in. So 2 years ago, we completed a landscape analysis. And then last year, we had a K-5 pilot. And the outcome was very similar to where we are now, where there were a group of teachers who really saw a lot of value and success with this curriculum. And there were a group of teachers that were not ready for that for shifting their instruction. And we tried it again and we're at the same point. If we were to say, you know what, we know it's a good curriculum, we know what standards and framework align, we're just gonna do it. Having that play out across our district, I think would not be in the best interest of students and learning. We can have the best curriculum in the world, but if half of our teachers say, I don't like it, or I don't understand it, or I'm not ready for it, those kids are probably going to be worse off than in a not great curriculum that teachers have learned over time how to supplement.
So a follow-up question. When you mentioned about this curriculum is not aligned with the standard, so then that can be, oh, you are talking about the current one,
The
not
current
the new
curriculum,
one.
yes, math expressions, the one we're using now that does not meet ed reports. Ed reports was not, did not exist.
Okay.
The last time we piloted 8 or 9 years ago. So there was no one doing the rigorous vetting of curriculum that ed reports does now. So we do know that illustrative mathematics is aligned to the standards and that within every grade or course, it has content that is teaching to the grade level standards. And that
So-
goes back to something Trustee Anthony said at the last time we were here, that sometimes we hear illustrative mathematics is too hard because kids might have some learning gaps. And then sometimes we hear it's too easy. And again, I think that's because the curriculum we want to replace in elementary and the curriculum we are replacing in middle and high school has lessons that either are below grade level standards or above grade level standards.
So you mentioned that we are, right now, the situation we have is similar to last year, this time. So it doesn't make sense to me. 1 year, we already have all those support and we still go back to the same
Because
place.
what we haven't had time to do is really have enough professional learning and support for teachers to really learn the shifts in the standards and the framework. And that is what we've built into a plan for next year. That would be the difference.
And I think even with this year, like to think when we looked at how much time we spent, I think I equated it to under 10% of our total professional learning time, even this year was spent supporting elementary educators with SVMI through, the framework and shifts. So like specifically even some educators that like, what are you talking about a framework? Like not even knowing that there is a new math framework, getting grounded in the really understanding what are the standards and what do they look like in practice. And I think, something that's different in secondary is most secondary educators, they went to school, they are math majors, they have a strong background in mathematics. And I think something across the elementary landscape is just even some of that, building that confidence as mathers, is that what you say? Mathers, is something, that we are just continuing to build at. They all have the ability to do it. We all have the ability to do it, but it's just that time and that energy and that support, building that confidence, building the structures, and not thinking that we're not moving forward. We are 100% continuing to move forward with shifting practice in our math classrooms that will actually translate across all classrooms in elementary, while just making sure we have that right fit, and more importantly, that we're ready to implement. Like Satya said, putting something into the hands of our educators that are not bought in or that don't understand, like you could do more harm than good. And so we do want to make sure that they are ready. We absolutely want to make sure that we have high quality materials in the hands of our teachers and our students are engaging in high quality math learning.
Well, I have a couple of things. I wanted to say that I appreciate your thoughtfulness and regrouping when you didn't have consensus. I appreciate the next steps. And I mean, I really appreciate this, but I think what I say next is going to be in opposition to what I'm saying, because I'm really disappointed that we didn't move forward with IM. It's my understanding that IM will build the foundational skills that are needed for the upper grades, 6 to 12, and that's why we were going with IM for the lower grades. So for that reason, I'm disappointed. Is there another curriculum that would work similarly in building those foundational skills?
Yeah, there are other curriculum out there, other curricula out there that if they align closely to the priorities that we have identified as our curriculum priorities, and align strongly to the framework, there will be similarities to illustrative mathematics. And it could be a directive of the board. So like, we do want you to continue to vet IM. You know, we do believe it is a high quality curriculum. We have an external organization highly rating the curriculum. Obviously, we are going to be implementing 6 through Algebra 2 and having coherence K through Algebra 2 would be. But again, there will be other curricula that will have a lot of similarities. And when we think about engaging the professional learning next year, with the like math language routines that we're looking to support our educators to implement, we expect to see those in whatever materials that we do adopt. So if we identify curriculum that is aligned to our priorities and aligned to the framework, it will be very similar in nature. Yeah.
Well, again, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I am intrigued and interested by my fellow trustees' lines of questioning. I don't think I realized that we all had such similar thoughts. So I have a few questions and then I have something to say. So the first question is, do we have a sense of what the California approved list will look like, including, do we think that IM will be on it?
So yeah, what we do have access to is every publisher that has submitted curriculum is on the list. So we see everyone that has submitted curriculum to be approved by the state. Again, in November, that list will become official. Generally speaking, it's going to be a pretty wide list that gets approved. And yes, we do believe, so IM is on the list to be approved, and we do believe and expect, being that IM was, developed and designed by someone that was an author of the California state standards, that it would be approved. So yes,
Okay.
and that state list is kind of the floor, and then we work from there. So it must be on the list, just in the next vetting process is it must be high quality in terms of ed reports, and then that's just the bars that we keep going up to look at.
And you mentioned that when you were doing this presentation that we would need to pick up a curriculum that meets our priorities. Do you think that IM meets our priorities?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And if we went with this plan, are we concerned with the amount of time that the piloting teams would really be doing? I mean, it's really like 1 or 2 modules, right? It's like 4 or 5 weeks.
It is aggressive. It is aggressive timeline. Starting in January is probably not ideal. It's doable. It's just a lot of support is going to be needed. Looking at the partnership with Unbound, I think is just another layer of support that we would have. This is their timeline as well. So I think having that coherence and then leveraging with 11 other districts of like navigating through it, it is totally doable. Is it aggressive? Definitely. And it's that catch between, listening to our community and saying, hey, wait a minute, you're well aware that you don't have high quality materials, and making sure that, our educators are prepared to implement, and it's that fine line in between. But, I am confident that we can do it. It will be aggressive. And, if the directive is that we are bringing a recommendation in the spring, we can do that.
Right. And then you mentioned about the unbounded,
Unbound, Ed, yep.
Unbounded, yeah, pilot. That part of the agreement, if we joined this, is that we would have to pilot IM in K2. Does that mean you also pilot something else, or is it just the one?
No, so you can pilot as many materials as you want,
Okay.
and it would be K through 5. But yeah,
Unbounded is K through 5 or K through 2?
K through 5.
Okay.
So they would support our entire adoption team. we were initially looking at it just through the K through 2 lens because they were getting ready to pilot, but now if we were expanded out, that they would support K through 5.
Okay, and do we think it is more important to have a K-5 aligned curriculum, or is it still okay if we did adopt something else at K2 and 3-5?
I think it was heard loudly from our elementary educators that K through 5 should be coherent, should be the same. And I do fully support it, not being an elementary educator, but I do think it is very important. I think ideally it would be K through Algebra 2. But I do think the coherence K through 5 is really important. So I'm sure Satya would agree with that. Yeah.
And is it possible to get coherence with 2 different curricula, K2, 3-5, or does it have to be the same publisher?
Yeah, I mean, and anything is doable. I will say, and we've learned this with our science implementation, that we have different curricula for elementary, middle, and high. And just in that itself of dealing with 3 different publishers, 3 different professional learning providers, there is just complications with the more people. So is it doable? Of course, we could, if we identified materials that were well aligned to our priorities in the framework, totally doable. I think the preference would definitely be that we did have one curriculum K through 5. That I think is by far the ideal. And I think that was something that was loudly, or we heard through the pilot team, a big concern that was raised from the 3 through 5 pilot is what if we adopt IM and our K through 2 team doesn't, because it is meant to build on each other. And having those, that foundation starting in kindergarten is vitally important. So I do think it would be the ideal and what we would strive to have.
Okay, and last year, I remember the K2 teachers were more opposed to the adoption, and I don't remember exactly why. Do you have insights?
Satya could probably speak, a little bit clearer to it. But again, it was I know one thing that's just that is a key component of IM is the centers in K through 2. And something I guess, I'll actually let Satya speak to this a little bit more as an elementary educator. Something that was a pretty common practice pre-COVID, and then after COVID, something that is just not as much as a common practice in our elementary classrooms. From what my team has told me, it's an essential component of elementary instruction, but something that was like a pretty big, hard shift back. But I'll let Satya speak a little bit.
Yeah. Yes, in kinder and first grade, the centers are built into the lessons. They're not optional. They're not something that you can have the kids do or do well on an iPad. And that was very challenging. We were still also just I think it was the second year back after distance learning. Some people were still, quarantining materials, not wanting students to, worried about germs and things.
So you're talking about manipulatives or something?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes. So the centers are designed to be, especially in the primary grades, to be hands-on, and they're designed as games to be played cooperatively. At the end of the pilot, there was a primary grade teacher who explained to me that before COVID, centers had been a big part of her classroom. And then after COVID, distance learning, and then returning with all of the masks and everything, that it was something that she hadn't been doing as regularly. So that, and just the partner work really did seem like it was more challenging. And I think every year that we get further away from the real COVID era, I think all of that gets a little bit easier.
That's helpful. And I think Amy was asking something similar to this, and I just want to confirm. Is it possible to keep working on these instructional shifts and this, like using the new math framework while still deploying old materials?
That's our plan.
That is so absolutely. Is it challenging? Would it lend itself better if we had materials that were aligned? Definitely. But our plan is to continue forward and to continue to support the understanding and deepening their understanding and seeing actually these practices in our math classrooms so that it, yeah.
Well, and our plan also is to work closely with the Silicon Valley Math Initiative, SVMI. And they do actually have, we're a member district of theirs. So we have access to all of their materials, and they do have a lot of products and materials that can be used as supplements. Again, it's not as easy as having a curriculum with math talks and tasks built in. But we will be providing training and resources for teachers to be able to supplement this not great curriculum.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Those are my questions, but I do have comments still, and possibly we may also still have more discussion. I don't know. I hope that Trustee Lamb got most of her questions discussed, but let me start. I want to go back to what I said 1 month ago when we voted to adopt the 6-12 curriculum, which is 4 things. On the whole, our students are not succeeding in math, right? I added stuff. This is really long, so just bear with me. 2, our students deserve high quality math curriculum and instruction. 3, we must focus on educational achievement. And 4, we must believe that our students can learn math and give them the tools they need to do so. Those are still my 4 grounding terms. And I was telling Dr. Moore today that as I was looking through this today and thinking about so much, that it's really frustrating me because I remember Trustee Richardson and I went to a session with the Bay Ed Fund's Family Fellows a couple years ago, and it was full of a room of families who were saying, your district doesn't think that our kids can do it. And that's not acceptable. You don't provide the resources to do it, and we're upset, and this is why we got involved. And then we saw those same parents, many of the same parents, come and say the same thing to us. And they said this curriculum was working for us. So we have that background. And yet here we are saying that we're going to spend another year with this outdated curriculum that's proven to be insufficient for accelerating student achievement for the vast majority of students. It's been insufficient for improving conceptual understanding. It's been insufficient for preparing students for higher level math in most cases. And like Trustee Murray, I hardly have words to express my disappointment. It's just disappointed. But I do think it's my job to find some. Last year, when there was a lot of discussion about the adoption, we ultimately declined to adopt. And I reread our comments and what we directed the staff to do. And we just directed staff to continue to pilot and really work on the instructional shifts in the framework, right? And you did that, and then here we are. We're still at 50%. That's what Trustee Shea said, same observation, right? I've said this a number of times, but I'll say it again. One of the things that we have heard a lot this year is, well, you need to listen to teachers. And I just come back to the same question of, okay, which ones, right? We got 50% saying yes, we got 50% saying no. So which teachers do I put stock in? And that's really a hard decision as a board to say which ones are right? And I think we have to have the courage to say maybe both and maybe neither, and we still got to move forward. So I've been thinking a lot about the barriers to yes. I really appreciated that you asked, like, what was the thing, right? Is it capacity and trust? Is it training and support? Or is it the actual curriculum itself? Is it all 3? I come back to like what we've done this year as a board to move forward on some of these things. My thought was, if it's the biggest barrier is the concerns about the capacity to support implementation and or the perceived distance between district office and frontline staff, which we have heard a lot this year, then I think it's an issue of trust, not curriculum. And if that's the case, then I know we haven't passed it yet, but these instructional coaches that we're supposed to be hiring, could that not solve? Is that not taking down that barrier to implementation? I think it is. If the biggest barrier is around having high quality math instruction, then I think it's an issue of training and support, not curriculum. And then I look at this and say, we're doing this Silicon Valley Math Initiative. This is something that worked in the past. It's something that's high quality. If that's not taking down that barrier, then what is, right? That feels like it's overcoming that barrier. And if it's really that the biggest barrier is that the curriculum is insufficient or inadequate, then then it's an issue of the curriculum. And I don't think that that's true on a whole. So I went back also last year and looked at the presentation from last year's adoption and talked about the current state of math walks and noted the following things as areas of improvement. Number one was authentic student collaboration. Number two, hands-on relevant learning applicable to the real world. Number three, sustained mathematical discussions that support language development and content understanding simultaneously. And number four, focus on building conceptual understanding paired with procedural skills or fluency embedded in lessons. And at various points this year, we have had teachers come up, even those who did not support the adoption, who have said, yes, that did improve. That was something that I saw that was better, but I still don't like this curriculum, right? We heard from parents that said, wow, my kids are doing better. Like they're getting it in a way that they didn't. So I'm hearing in many ways that the piloted curriculum has improved authentic student communication. It has sustained mathematical discussions that support language development and content understanding simultaneously, which parents were here, parents whose students are not native English speakers, right? And has a focus on building conceptual understanding. And it feels to me like maybe the thing is that teachers don't feel like it's paired with enough procedural fluency. And maybe that's true. And maybe that's the thing that needs to be supplemented to make that transition and say, hey, we're going to do this, but also we hear you that there's not enough practice problems here. Let's do more. So I've had an exchange with a teacher this year that I've really appreciated, and they expressed that they really felt the district was always looking for a silver bullet. And but I feel that. I think it'd be nice to have a silver bullet, and there obviously is no silver bullet. But I do believe that we're capable of addressing the three core issues of the curriculum adoption, which is A, investing in school site resources to implement, building our capacity to teach math, and using a new tool to do it, and supplementing as necessary. So I think we have an opportunity to start doing things differently with this new curriculum. It makes me hugely disappointed to think that we would put off another year. I feel urgency around this. I feel like my fellow board also feels urgency around this. I certainly don't want to wait another year. I also don't want to risk that next year we'll sit here in the same boat with 50% of teachers saying yes and 50% of teachers saying no. And I can already feel this because we got a public comment from somebody at Bury today that said, well, I think this is rushed. So what, we're gonna slow down? We've been doing this for 2 years, 3 years. You said that the first time we looked at curriculum was 3 years ago. I just can't. And I really think that we should reject the recommendation to return with another piloting year. I think that we should, with the support of the board, and I've never done this, but I'm going to do it. I'd like to direct the superintendent to return on June 12th or June 26th with a recommendation to adopt IM for grades 3 through 5, starting in the 2025-2026 school year.
I'd like to hear from the rest of the board to see if that's the pleasure of the board for staff to go back and bring back a recommendation for 3 through 5.
I support.
I can't, because if we move forward and we don't have the support, it's not going to work. So.
Curious, do you think that there will be more support next year? Or do you think that we will be sitting in the same spot?
Because in their next steps, what they said that they were going to do. And so I would like us to go in the cohort. But that's up to you.
I missed that. You would like what?
That if the state gets involved, they will put us back in line. In other words, they're judging from how we took the housing cohort workshops. These will provide you with professionals, and we've seen already the product of this type of learning, this type of new math, because the smallest children, sixth graders, are doing these complex problems. And I was impressed. And let's not forget that when the kids do this type of math, it helps them in other areas, in writing. And that's very important to me, because down the line, it's a byproduct of this new math. And that's what I'm looking for, a 2-fer, 3-fer. something that's coming back in bigger dividends. But we have to get on board. And I know it's hard to, pivot sometimes. And I understand that sometimes, my child takes care of, knows the tough math, geometry, all these advanced maths, and they're doing excellent. Why change something? I understand totally. Why change something that's working? That's because we're committing our district in a new way of business. We're now understanding that we can't, this is not something we could continue and call ourselves progressive. The same children will stay back, the same children will, it's a cycle that will continue. And this is why we're doing it, it's my understanding, so that we can bring everyone on board. And it will be easier for the children that have easier time with learning anything new, but it will be perfect for those younger ones that have it's been tough. So that's my whole thinking on it. And I believe that's what the new pilot is wanting to convey to everyone. Yes, it's because we got to take the kids with us, and no child should be left behind.
So Trustee Richardson, if I may, are you saying you are in support of what President Anthony is proposing for us to bring back a recommendation 3 through 5, a proposal at the next board meeting or the following board meeting in support of moving forward with IM?
Yes, I am in support.
Okay, thank you. And before Trustee Lamb goes, I want to give our team a chance, because I know that there's some implications to this, if that's the case, if we're bringing back in June. So I want to give our team a chance to just make sure that we understand any of the anticipated consequences of doing this late, because it'll be June, certainly if it's the June 26th meeting, just so we're all really clear on what may need to happen. Because as we have it right now, we have 3 trustees, which means we have enough for them to tell us that this is the direction that they want to go. But I want to make sure we all understand what the implications may be.
So just, logistically, making sure that we can get the materials into all of our educators' hands by the start of the school year, making sure that we can provide all of our grades 3 through 5 professional learning to prepare them for the launch. Those are the biggest concerns outside of everything laid out around, the trust and the building and that. It's, can we get the materials delivered to our sites by early August? Can we arrange professional learning for our educators to be prepared to implement the materials come August? I'm a big believer that anything is doable. Again, it is a very aggressive timeline. We would obviously have to talk to the publisher and talk through the timeline of identifying what we need, getting that prepared to bring to the board, and thinking through, the big part is just the professional learning for our colleagues.
Thank you, Mr. Brockmeyer.
Yeah, I'm sure that, I'm sure there's more, but doable, but challenging.
Trustee Lamb, I apologize. I
Oh,
just wanted
no,
to make
it's
sure
all
the
right.
board
And
had all
I
the
didn't realize we
information.
had 3 already, so maybe I don't have to say anything, but, well, I'll just say, first of all, I do have things to add, but it's more of, President Anthony spelled out your case very well. So, thank you for kind of bringing us back to the journey to get to this point. I guess just my thoughts from just trying to work through the reasoning. First of all, of course, I respect the teachers and all the various viewpoints. I think, and I had read that the email from some Bury educators, and it did make me concerned to read that, and because it made me think, And I mentioned about, shopping, we're like curriculum shopping. That sounded like what the plan was in this case. I sort of feel like some folks may be looking for another way that isn't really going to be there. Like, that I think we need to set the expectation that yes, we're going to follow the states, what they're saying in terms of the framework and the standards that, we're going to follow that. So we're saying that expectation. And so, and all the curriculum that's coming out is going to follow that same framework. So, and I am already, has been following it. I mean, and you're saying we expect that to be approved by the state. And they've been doing it for many years. And so, yeah, so why, what's the hesitancy? If we're shopping and we don't like the flavor of the one brand versus another, and I'm brand agnostic. I don't think we have to follow a particular brand or another. Okay, fine. But if it's like, well, okay, we're gonna shop for a brand and, we need a full year to test out one brand versus IM. I mean, I don't feel like that's necessary. And I don't think there's much to be gained from that. So I do lean towards your proposal. I mean, maybe you don't need my vote or support for it, but that's kind of
I think
where
it's
my head
good
is
to
at in
have
terms
whatever
of, the
support there
rationale.
is.
Remind me how long when we adopt a curriculum, remind me how long we keep it typically?
Generally 8 years.
8 years.
And
And
yeah.
how much was IM going to cost?
I can tell you our secondary was 2.5 million, I believe. Yeah, right around that's probably slightly more, but roundabout.
And what was the saying that you said about going slower earlier?
Satya, yeah, go slow, or, go slow to be intentional. I've actually heard that recently. And it would be, next year's cost would actually be less if it's only grades 3 through 5, but that's just a ballpark.
So given the amount of money that we're spending and the amount of time that we have to keep the curriculum, I think that we need to have buy-in from the teachers. And I think taking it slow and doing it intentionally might give us a better outcome. That's my thought.
I respect that. I have heard stories of botched adoptions in the past. But from an outsider's perspective, I mean, like, again, I've worked in education. I just think about how valuable it is to have the tool in front of you to teach the thing that you want to teach, right? And not having to try and adapt and make something outdated do. I used to teach English as a second language, right? And we had a really good curriculum. And you know what? I did still have to supplement it. And other people used other books. And it was weird because then when they came into my classroom, they were like, oh, this is a totally new format. I'm like, no, this is not. No, you need to use this, right? I'm just afraid that there will never be buy-in from everybody, that it will just be everybody's looking for their particular slice of pizza, and you can only really split a pizza 2 ways.
When you took the vote, what were the number of teachers, the percentage of teachers that voted yes versus no?
It was a consensus process. So they ultimately 3 and above was that we do support adoption, and 2 and below, 2 being they still needed more time, and then 1 being they were pretty much against. So it ended up 50-50 of those 3 or above compared to those 2 or below. So it's not like an official yes, no vote. It's really, where do you land with the adoption in the consensus process.
So from the teachers that I was talking to, or that I have talked to, one of the things, it really was kind of foundational in what they disagreed with. You know, they may not like the California framework because what they like the old way, the memorization, you know, doing homework with lots and lots of problems and practice, lots of practice. And they felt like that was the better way to go. So I think there's a way to bring them in, and that's just taking a little bit more time and making sure that they're all trained and they understand what this type of math is doing and why one or two problems are okay, because the kids are learning the problems deeply and understanding. They're talking math and they're understanding, you know, everything all about this problem and other problems like that. And this problem, the next problem will build on this problem and so on. The reason I said I was disappointed, and I am disappointed, is that I thought that adopting the same curriculum, IM, from K to 12, would be the best way for the kids to have the best outcomes, because they start when they're little, they start understanding and talking about math and everything that we learned about IM. And so by the time they get to high school, when math is more critical in terms of their future, you know, college, et cetera, they're already doing the work and they understand it. And my feeling is that the outcome would be better. But the teachers, the math teachers that piloted this are not believing that. And so my feeling is that we need to bring them along, at least more than 50% of them. We need to bring them along.
Yeah, I think, you know, when we think about elementary educators too, you know, math is one of the subjects that they teach, right? And that is just another complication when, you know, we are in our third year of implementation of new science materials. Obviously with all of the structured literacy blocks that have been implemented and around the ELA. So they're not just math teachers like in secondary that you know, they are grappling with a lot. You know, and so it is, yeah, it's just, you know, our proposal, and we do understand if we're directed to move forward and it is doable. But I think for, you know, elementary specifically, it's just, they have a lot, you know, math is a portion of their day. It's not their whole day. And generally speaking, they don't have a lot of planning time for, you know, the implementation of new materials. And like a real challenge we've dealt with the implementation of science, it's around the same thing of just making sure that they are comfortable, they're prepared. I really think of kind of traditional math, and the way I learn math is like, here's this recipe that you follow that gets you to this thing. And now we're kind of taking away the recipe and like, hey, you still need to cook this thing, but you know, we're just going to give you some ingredients and like, you got to, you know, less guidance of that strict recipe to follow. So again, it's doable. I think we all want the same thing, and it's just how, you know, the path that we take to get there. But
I have a question. Dr. Moore, what's your thinking?
I also have a strong sense of urgency to do right by kids. I agree with what President Anthony said. Which do you listen to? The 50% that's like, this is great, we should go all in, or the 50% that's saying we're not ready yet? And so when I think about the students that came forward at the last board meeting and the families that came forward, my impetus is let's be responsive to what people are asking. And if people are feeling more success in math, particularly those kiddos who are on the margins or in marginalized communities, then I think we have to listen and we have to be responsive with full recognition that there may be some constraints that we're going to be up against, that it's going to be very messy. It is going to be imperfect. I do think that perhaps we don't have enough time, but the time that we have, if this is the direction of the board, we're going to have to figure out a way to do it and think of additional time
that we might be able to offer to our community, but I do have a sense of urgency for students. And I also appreciate, we want our teachers to lean in, and I think it's scary. I think change is hard, change is scary. I think teaching is very personal, and learning something new can be really challenging when you may have been doing something in a similar way for a really long period of time. So through it all, though, it's our job to provide the board with all of the information and the recommendation and our proposals, and allow you to direct me as to what you want. And so I think all of you've had an opportunity to share your insights. And so I heard 3 of you, 4, say that you were supportive and you would like for us, you look like 3.5. You would like for us to bring back a proposal for a 3-5 implementation, a recommendation for a 3-5 implementation. Is that still the pleasure of at least the 3.5 of you?
Yes. I just have a quick question. What do we do with the ones that are the 50% that are holding and saying, we want this other way, don't change? Is there a solution to that? Because that concerns me. I don't know how to address it.
You don't need
But
to
it
address
concerns me, and I don't want to leave them behind.
Of course,
Could
I
I-
think that's what the team was trying to communicate, is that we do have a subset of folks that, for whatever reason, are not a champion of IM and feel like it is not necessarily the best for our students. And I think if this is the directive, then our charge is going to be, how do we create space to bring them along, to help make sure that they understand, to bring school leaders in, because school leaders are working very closely with their educators so that people can really understand the why behind it. And we're going to have to really lean into a lot of professional learning and support and grace for people, and allowing people to feel what they're going to feel, and yet still keep students at the center. Because I think every educator wants what's best for students. Like Mr. Brockmeyer said, people have different ideas of how we can get there, but I think it's going to have to be something that is persistent, that we pay attention to. We hold ourselves accountable to doing what we've been asked to do and in service of students. So it's not going to be easy.
I just want to mention that I too had no clue, but I watched those students at Conway and Vista and all these new ways of engaging students, and I was frankly on board since then. Thank you.
I am clear in the directive from the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you again.
So, and as far as, so I will say it's vital that we get this on the next board agenda. And so we will be working quickly to figure this out. As far as the K-2 team, being that alignment, we do feel is important. Is there any direction that the board wants to give around K-2? Granted that, they have not piloted this year, but any directive is how we want to move forward with them would be appreciated.
Let's go back to this discussion about this partnerships. And initially it was going to be K2, then we thought about making it K5. You have to do at least, you said that their definition of pilot was different than our definition of pilot. What is their definition of pilot?
So their definition of pilot expands to like thoroughly investigating materials, not necessarily implementing into classroom practice. So I guess there are districts that actually adopt materials without teachers ever actually utilizing them with their students. Actually, there's a state I found out that it's illegal. But yeah, which I found, so yeah, so there you just have to screen them thoroughly through their process, but you don't actually have to utilize them with the students.
Okay, and we would be looking at a few then. It wouldn't just be.
They would be looking at all materials that we deem fit the priorities. outside of IM, correct?
May I suggest, I would like the recommendation coming from Dr. Moore about K to 2. Yeah, later, because we won't know. I don't feel like we can provide direction to you at this point.
I think just hearing the recommendation from our team about coherence, that's something we will have to think about. And then we can build that into the recommendation when we come back. Especially, you shouldn't give direction if you don't feel like you have enough information and context. So no problem. We'll bring that back.
Okay. Well, thank you all.
Dr. Shea.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to item P, consent agenda. The following items are submitted for board approval. One motion will authorize action for those items so designated. Do we have any questions or anything that we want to talk about in this?
So move.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion by Shea, second by Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations to our state qualifying History Days strap hands. Oh, we have another information item. Ted, business services May revision of the governor's budget.
All right, good evening, everyone. So I'll be providing an update on the governor's 2025-26 May revision proposals tonight. So on Wednesday, May 14, Gavin Newsom releases revised proposed state budget for 25-26. And we refer to this as the 25-26 May revision. So this is the final opportunity for the governor to update his economic projection prior to the enactment of the state budget in June. So keep in mind that this is still a proposal at this time. So there will be likely some changes once the state budget is finalized and approved in mid-June. So this past Wednesday, my staff and I attended a virtual workshop given by School Services of California to gather the details of his May revision, which we'll be using to prepare the district's 25-26 adopted budget. In the Governor Newsom's press release, he noted that California has advanced from the fifth to the fourth largest economy in the world, while highlighting the high level of uncertainty in both the California and national economies. The 25-26 May revision provides that the risk related to substantial changes in federal policy has now become a reality, driving a downgrade in both economic and revenue forecasts. Specifically, broad elevated tariffs, strict immigration policies, and cuts to the federal workforce are mentioned as a cause of a significant dampened outlook since the release of the governor's original budget in January. Due to the increased expenditure growth above the proposed 25-26 state budget projection, the state now faces an estimated $12 billion budget shortfall. So this will require the state to make difficult but necessary decisions to reduce ongoing expenditures growth to maintain budget resilience and stability for critical state programs. And regardless of the shortfall, the 25-26 May revision continues to support the TK to 12 education initiatives that the governor wants and reflects the full implementation of transitional kindergarten, full funding for school meals for all, and free access to expanded school day and school year enrichment and academic support for thousands of students. The May revision involves the dual problems of lower revenues in 25-26 and increased healthcare and other costs in the current and near term through a combination of reductions, borrowing, funding shifts, Proposition 98 school funding manipulation, and expenditures that would only be activated if sufficient revenues materialize in the future. Tonight, I'll be providing an update on some of the areas of the proposed budget and its impact on education. So regarding the Proposition 98 minimum guarantee funding, for that, which determines the state funding for education, the governor's May revision maintains the governor's budget proposal from January to delay fully funding the 24-25 minimum guarantee to TK to 12 and community college districts. To mitigate against the risk of providing more funding to education, than the California Constitution requires. So in January, the governor proposed delaying about 1.6 billion of the 24-25 guarantee to school districts and community colleges. At the May revision, the delay amount is now proposed at 1.3 billion, a small reduction of about 0.3 billion. California School Boards Association and others are very concerned with the manipulation of the Proposition 98 obligation by the governor and will likely take legal action should this be part of the final enacted state budget in June. In addition, the May revision also includes a shift in how transitional kindergarten expansion funds are distributed between TK-12 school districts and the community college districts. This rebenching will increase the TK share by a proposed 492.4 million and make it an equal reduction for community college districts. The May revision also proposed to institute new deferrals. For TK to 12 agencies, the May revision proposes deferring 1.8 billion in local control funding formula funding from June 2026 to July 2026. So it's just 1 month from one fiscal year to the next. And regarding the Proposition 98 Rainy Day Fund, which is the state's reserve, the Proposition Rainy Day Fund, the May revision maintains the full withdrawal of the 8.4 billion balance from 23-24. And due to changes in the capital gains revenue, the May revision reduced the mandatory deposit into the Public School System Stabilization Account, PSSA, which is basically the state reserve in 24-25 from 1.2 billion to 450 million only. In 25-26, rather than depositing an additional 376 million, the drop in the Proposition 98 guarantee triggers a mandatory withdrawal from the savings account, which will completely wipe out or deplete the savings account. Regarding local control funding formula, on that, the governor is proposing to fully fund this COLA of only 2.3%, which is slightly less than what he was proposing in his original January proposed budget of 2.43%. But luckily for us, this doesn't impact our district because we're a basic aid community funded district, which means most of our revenue comes from property taxes and not from the state. In terms of the employee pension, the employee rate for CalPERS, which is the California Public Employees Retirement System, will decrease from 27.05% to an estimated 26.81% in 25-26. So this is it's been a while since we've seen a decrease, about 0.25%. And the employer rate for CalSTRS, which is the California State Teachers Retirement System, will maintain the same percentage at 19.1%. And so this would be a slight savings for our district, which is good news. In terms of transitional kindergarten, the governor's May revision proposal includes a total of 2.1 billion ongoing for full implementation of the universal transitional kindergarten in 25-26. So this is slightly lower than his original proposal of 2.4 billion. He also wants to provide a total of 1.2 billion ongoing to reduce the students to adult ratio to 10-1 from the current 12-1 starting in 25-26. So this is also slightly lower than his original proposal of 1.5 billion. So, and this funding is not provided to our school district or any other of the basic aid community funded school districts. And so this only happens if the funding is approved at the state final budget. In terms of, he also providing a, one-time funding grant as well. It's called the Student Support and Professional Development Discretionary Block Grant. So this discretionary block grant is basically, he provided some following purposes, but it really could be used according to School Services of California for any any priority district you want to use it for, basically to address like the loss in funding and stuff like that. So he's proposing to allocate about 1.7 billion for this new one-time, he called it block grant, which is slightly lower than the 1.8 billion he originally proposed. Then there's another, the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. So he's proposing this also for the 25-26 year. So he's looking at about 378.6 million for this block grant. And this block grant initially was established in the 2022 Budget Act, supports learning recovery initiative through the 27-28 school year. The May revision proposes no any changes to his original January proposal for the 25-26 school year. For educator investments, the governor modifies the investment in supporting teachers and the educator pipeline by repurposing his January state budget proposal for 150 million one-time funds for the teacher recruitment incentive grant program to instead only provide 100 million in one-time funds for student teacher stipends. Also, he has some literacy investments. The May revision continues the investment in identifying the governor's budget and adds additional funds to ensure aligned implementation of California research-based English language arts/English language development framework, the statewide literacy network, and adds a statewide mathematics network. The May revision adds 200 million one-time funds to support evidence-based professional learning for elementary school educators and 10 million one-time funds for a county office of education to partner with the University of California, San Francisco, the Alexia Center to support the Magnitudes Screener, which is free to California public schools. Under early childhood education, the May revision proposed to suspend the cost of living adjustment in 25-26 for the California State Preschool Program and child care to help address the budget shortfall. So this is a reduction of about 19.3 million in ongoing Proposition 98 general fund resources and 10.2 million in ongoing state general fund resources. For the universal meals, the governor is proposing 90.7 million in additional ongoing funding to fully fund this program in 25-26. So all students are able to have a free meal of lunch and dinner. Breakfast and lunch. Yeah, okay. And then in summary, so these are just some of the proposals from the governor at this time. From here, the legislature, which is made up of the state senate and state assembly, will work with the governor to iron out the differences before they vote to approve the budget. The state constitution requires the legislator to send a balanced budget to the governor by June 15 for signature. The final state adopted budget may look different from what is proposed by the governor in the May revision. And we'll see what happens when the final budget is signed after June 15. And that concludes my report. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. A lot of great news. All right, moving to action administration A, resolution 2545 for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ+ Pride Month. Staff recommends the adoption of resolution 2545 in support of 2025 LGBTQ+ Pride Month. Trustee Richardson, will you read this into the record?
Resolution 2545, recognition of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ+ Pride Month, June 1 through June 30, 2025. Whereas Gay and Lesbian Pride Month was first established in June 2000 through a presidential proclamation and has since evolved into what is now nationally recognized as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ+ Pride Month. And whereas the month of June commemorates the anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising, a pivotal event in the LGBTQ+ rights movement, which began following a police raid at the Stonewall Inn in New York City in June 1969 and brought national attention to the fight for LGBTQ+ equality. And whereas LGBTQ+ Pride Month
is a time to affirm the dignity, visibility, and contributions of LGBTQ+ individuals, to promote inclusiveness, raise awareness of ongoing challenges, take a stand against discrimination and violence, and celebrate the diversity of the community through peaceful protest and advocacy. And whereas LGBTQ+ youth are working to build supportive and safe school environments by engaging in leadership opportunities, including participation in Gender and Sexuality Alliance, GSA clubs, and speaking out against bullying and harassment. And whereas California Education Code, Section 51204.5, calls for the inclusion of the roles and contribution of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender Americans in social science instruction, highlighting their influence on the economic, political, and social development of California and the nation, and emphasizing their impact on contemporary society. Now, therefore, be it revised that the South San Francisco Unified School District Board of Trustees formally recognizes June 2025 as LGBTQ+ Pride Month and honors the history, contributions, and continued efforts of LGBTQ+ individuals in the advancement of equity and inclusion, regularly passed and adopted this 22nd day of May, 2025.
Thank you so much, Trustee Richardson. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perfect. Motion by Murray, second by Richardson. Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes. Trustee Richardson,
Yes.
Trustee Shay,
Yes.
Trustee Lamb,
Yes.
Vice President Murray,
Yes.
President Anthony.
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. 2, Educational Services, approval of agreement with Weldom. Staff recommend the approval of agreement with Weldom, a CDE-approved non-public agency for specialized staffing services for the 2025-2026 school year. Any questions or comments?
So moved.
Okay. Was that motion by Trustee Lamb, second by Trustee Shay? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. 2B, approval of MOU with Cabrillo Unified School District. Staff recommends the approval of a memorandum of understanding with Cabrillo Unified School District for participation in the K-12 Strong Workforce Program Round 7, effective May 1st, 2025 through June 20th, 2027. Any questions or comments on this one?
I mean, I did submit a question about about the fiscal agent for the grant. So I guess Cabrillo Unified School District is the fiscal agent. And so if you could give the backstory on what that's about.
Yeah, for the last 5 rounds, our district has participated in this grant with San Mateo County. San Mateo County served as the fiscal agent, but San Mateo County Office of Ed informed the consortium that it would not be applying for round 7. And as a result, our district partnered with Cabrillo to submit the round 7 application. And part of that is just due to some capacity, and they have the capacity to be able to do it. So we're partnering with them.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
I got motion by Murray, second by Richardson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0. 2C, approval of world language textbook adoption. Staff recommends the approval of adoption for the Vista Higher Learning World Language Instructional Materials for implementation beginning in the 2025-2026 school year. Any questions or comments?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion by Murray, second by Shay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 3A, Human Resources, approval of the MOU with the SSFCTA for the CCAP Partnership Program Evaluation. Staff recommends the approval of the Memorandum of Understanding with the South San Francisco Classroom Teachers Association for the College and Career Access Pathway Partnership Program Evaluation for the 2025-2026 school year. Any questions or comments? All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Murray, second by Shay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 3B, approval of the MOU with the SSFCTA for the CCAP Partnership Program, no evaluation. Staff recommends the approval of the Memorandum of Understanding with the South San Francisco Classroom Teachers Association for the College and Career Access Pathway Partnership Program, no evaluation for the 2025-2026 school year. Any questions or comments on this one?
I'll make a motion.
All right, motion by Lamb, second by Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 3C, approval of the MOU with the SSFCTA for the SSP Emergency Response Pathway. Staff recommends the approval of the Memorandum of Understanding with the South San Francisco Classroom Teachers Association for the Specialized Secondary Programs Emergency Response Pathway for the 2025-2026 school year. Any questions or comments? I'm excited about this one. It's going to be good.
Second.
What, can I get a motion?
Yeah, I
You
said so
moved, okay.
Shay, second.
All right, motion by Murray, second by Shay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Approval of the MOU with the SSFCTA for the GSPP Patient Care Pathway. Staff recommends the approval of the Memorandum of Understanding with the South San Francisco Classroom Teachers Association for the Golden State Pathways Program Patient Care Pathway for the 2025-2026 school year, together with the change that Mr. Hanan had brought earlier, that it's 10,000, not 1,000. Any questions or comments on this one?
No, I'll make a motion.
Great. Motion by Lamb,
Second. No.
second by Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 3E, approval of the instructional coach job description. Staff recommends the approval of the job description for the instruction coach effective for the 2025-2026 school year. Any questions or comments on this one? Okay. I know that we had made some changes from the original one. Do you want to speak to any of those changes, or is it just, this is where we're at? All right. Super. Thank you for your feedback, CTA.
So
All right.
moved.
Got a motion by Shay,
Second.
second by Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. 4A, Business Services, Resolution Number 2544, support of workforce housing legislation AB 1021 and AB 1381. Staff recommends the adoption of Resolution 2544 in support of the workforce housing legislation, Assembly Bills 1021 and 1381. Any questions or comments on this one?
I move to waive the reading.
I love that motion.
Second.
Thank you.
All right, we got a motion from Richardson, second by Shay. All in, I need a roll call because it's a resolution.
Trustee Richardson? Trustee Shay?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Vice President Murray?
Yes.
President Anthony?
Yes, all in favor? Oh, we just did that. Motion carries 5-0. 4B, approval of agreement with Anchor Relocation Service Incorporated. Staff recommends the approval of the agreement with Anchor Relocation Service, Inc. for moving services and off-site storage related to the El Camino High School Central Kitchen and Cafeteria Project in the amount of $128,518.50. Any questions or comments on this one?
I had a quick question that I didn't get to ask, but we just approved for the kitchen $10 million. Is this in addition to that, Mr. O? Is this something that is not included in that $10 million package for the new kitchen that the board approved last time?
Yes, this is correct. This is separate from the
Okay,
10
thank
million
you.
was approved on the last board meeting.
Yeah.
Is the 10 million for the construction and this is for some of the moving? That's the distinction.
Yeah, a lot of the large equipment in the kitchen needs to be carefully stored in a location until the project is completed.
Great.
Does that, one more question, I just remembered. Does that include that brand new kitchen we just approved? That was the largest kitchen 2 years ago at El Camino
It was an oven.
we
It was an
expanded
oven.
the freezer, the refrigerator.
Oh, no, these are more like the big racks on wheels and some of the equipment, for example, like we have 5 bulky food warmers that need to be moved. Also, some examples also, we have these salad bars stands that also needs to be stored somewhere. Then we have also 10 of the wire shelving racks on the wheels. No, that was staying. The permanent ones on site is staying. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we're not moving that one.
Perfect. All right.
So move.
Thank you.
Great. We got a motion from Shay.
What?
Motion from Shay to approve.
Second.
Second by Murray. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. C, approval of contract proposal with Cumming Group. Staff recommends the approval of the contract proposal from Cumming Group for construction management services for the El Camino High School, Parkway Heights Middle School, and District Office summer projects in the amount of $40,437. Any questions or comments about this?
So move.
Second.
All right, motion by Murray, second by Shay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. D, approval of amendment number 1 with ProTech Consulting and Engineering. Staff recommends approval of amendment number 1 to the independent consultant agreement with ProTech Consulting and Engineering, Inc. For additional hazardous materials consulting services to address newly identified areas of concern related to the Westboro Middle School Field and Pavement Improvements Project in the amount of $5,285. Any questions or comments?
I'd like to make a motion.
All right.
Second.
Motion Lamb, second Shay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Approval of contract award to Zone 4 Construction, Inc. Staff recommends awarding the contract for the district office main entrance accessibility project to the lowest responsive responsible bidder, Zone 4 Construction, in the amount of $544,000, $544,813. Any questions or comments on this?
So move.
Second.
All right, motion by Murray, second by Shay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. All right, we are to our review of future agenda items and meetings. Any questions? All right, we will be adding that math adoption. And we'll go to summary of board directives.
There are none.
There was one.
The math
technically.
adoption,
Yeah.
recommendation for math adoption.
Thank you. All right, good and welfare. We've got about 10 minutes before we have to take another break. So I think we can get this done. Trustee Richardson, you want to kick us off?
All right. Yesterday, trustee Lamb and I were at the middle college excitement. Mr. Hanan and Dr. Hugh were present. It's always a great time for me. It just gets better every year. And they sat me on stage. I was going to go into the audience, but they said, go on stage. I said, oh, the lights are just going to give me a tan and I don't want to do it. But they made me, so I did it for the team. And it was such a wonderful time because former board member, son, former student at Morehouse College reported that his son had straight A's in his first year. And it was last year was like a big family affair because the mom, Director Goodman is the director of the program, and then her son, both twins were there graduating. It was just surreal. I love that moment. Anyway, before then, let's see, what did I do after that? We had a great time, and we went to the celebration of the awards night. Our own Josie Harsana received most of the grant awards from the Rotary, about $60,000 that they gave to our kids. And this year they will be having a seal of biliteracy for a second, more than one language spoken in the kids' diplomas. And it'll denote that they've learned 2 languages, Italian, Spanish were the predominant languages, and 1 Russian. So that's interesting how we are becoming bilingual in this community. So I can't remember. I had my notes that but that was the ones that stand out the most. And have a nice summer, everyone, and nice
Thank you.
holiday.
Super. Trustee Lamb.
Yeah, just happy Memorial Day and happy upcoming summer. So yes, the middle college graduation, that was a great time. I think that was my first time certainly attending a middle college graduation and maybe any event at Skyline. So looking forward to more in the future. It was great to see Martina Center Goodman, the director who invited us. And then also the dean, Lauren Ford, gave some great remarks. I think there were like 50 students that graduated. So congrats to those middle college graduates. And we are in graduation season, so there's a lot of graduations coming up. I'll be attending the ones at Skyline Elementary, Spruce Elementary, and our very own Westboro Middle School for my son Aiden, who's graduating 8th grade. So I may get emotional over that. I don't know, there's just been a lot going on because May is very intense. I went on a field trip for the Monte Verde for the second graders at Elkis Ranch. That was the first time they've been back since COVID, which I didn't realize. Just circling back pre-COVID, I went there with my son Aiden, and so I didn't realize that they hadn't been back since almost that time. And also put on a great volunteer brunch at Monte Verde, even though that was probably my only volunteer event that year, but maybe next year will be better. And I'll do more volunteer work. And a shout out to our Westboro Middle School 8th grade dance committee who we threw a great dance for those 8th graders. Just a great glow in the dark glow theme that, it was a great team effort. It was very stressful couple months for me to try to coordinate that, but I'm glad it's over and that it went all mostly smoothly. And then, we have those groundbreakings coming up. I think Trustee Richardson mentioned those earlier. So I'm looking forward to the Central Kitchen groundbreaking on the 6th of June and the Westboro Middle School fields on June 11th. And June. Is it June 9th? Yes. God, I even wrote it down. And then I wrote it down as 11. Okay, well, check the website.
All right, super. Thank you. Trustee Shea? All right, Trustee Murray?
I just want to wish all of our seniors a wonderful graduation and all of the kiddos promoting this year. I hope they have a wonderful time and a wonderful summer. Thank you.
And I also wanted to give a shout out for our community teams in the Purposeful Partnerships event, which is last week, there's just so much going on. That was a really wonderful event. I wish I could have stayed longer, but it was really a lot of community partners, wonderful presentations, wonderful opportunity for our community to come together. So congratulations on the planning committee for that. We'll see you at a lot of promotions and graduations next week. Thank you so much. Thank you for I know that our decision tonight will not make everyone happy, but I want you to know that we're doing it in service of kids. So